My hands trembled as I sat across from Mr. Roberts, my boss of 5 years. The cheap office chair creaked under me as I leaned forward. "Sir, I've been here for 5 years now, and I was hoping we could discuss a raise." My voice came out smaller than I wanted. His face changed instantly. The fake smile disappeared. "A raise?" He slammed his fist on the desk. "Are you kidding me, Rachel? In this economy, with your performance?" My stomach dropped. But nothing. His face turned red. "You think you deserve more? For what? Showing up? Doing the bare minimum? That's entitlement." I froze as he stood up, towering over me. "People like you are what's wrong with this generation. You want handouts for nothing." Then he did something I'll never forget. He spat near my shoe, a glob of saliva landing inches from my foot. "Get out of my office. Now." I somehow managed to stand up and walk out. My legs felt like jelly. I headed straight for the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, and whispered, "What just happened?" My whole body was shaking. Nobody at Carlton Industries really understood what I did. My job title was process coordinator, but that didn't explain much. I was the person who made everything flow. When I started, it took our team 3 full days to process client orders. Now it took 8 hours because of my system. I created a workflow that combined 3 separate software programs. It wasn't fancy, but it worked like magic. Orders moved through faster, clients got responses quicker, and mistakes dropped by 80%. Did anyone notice? No. And partly that was my fault. I kept it quiet. When you show too much of your process, people start micromanaging you. So I just did the work and let the results speak. Every month I handled tasks that would normally require 3 people. My coworkers knew I was reliable, but they had no idea how much I actually carried. Our department's success rested on my shoulders. When people asked how I processed orders so quickly, I just smiled and said, "I have a system." My boss never asked for details. He just expected the work to get done. And for 5 years, it did. Without fail, without recognition, without a raise. I was still wiping tears from my eyes when my phone buzzed. A new email. I almost ignored, thinking it was just another work assignment. But the subject line caught my eye. "Senior position, immediate offer, Lennox Systems." Lennox Systems? They were our biggest competitor. Newer, tech-savvier, with a growing reputation. I opened the email expecting spam or some kind of scam. "Dear Rachel, we've been impressed by your work in the industry and would like to offer you a position as our head of process implementation. Starting salary, $85,000 with benefits. No formal interview required. Please call to discuss." I blinked in disbelief. That was almost double my current salary. How did they even know about me? I hadn't applied anywhere. I hadn't updated my LinkedIn in months. I checked the sender's address and the company website. Both were legitimate. This wasn't spam. This was real. My phone trembled in my hand. It felt like the universe was sending me a lifeline right when I needed it most. That night, I couldn't sleep. The job offer bounced around my head like a pinball. It was perfect. More money, better title, fresh start. Yet something held me back. I called my best friend, Jamie. "I've been at Carlton for 5 years, I said. "I can't just walk away." Jamie sighed through the phone. "After how your boss treated you, Rachel, that's not loyalty, that's Stockholm Syndrome." Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. There was no misunderstanding about being spat at. "Listen," Jamie's voice turned serious. "At least tell them about the offer. See how they react. If they value you, they'll fight to keep you." "You're right," I said. "I'll give them one last chance." "Don't," Jamie warned. "They don't deserve it." But I had to. 5 years is a long time. I couldn't leave without knowing I'd tried everything. Some weird sense of duty made me feel like I owed it to them. Looking back, I just owed it to myself to leave sooner. I called in sick the next morning. For the first time in 5 years, I used a sick day for something other than actually being sick. The guilt weighed on me as I drove across town to Lennox Systems. Their building was nothing like Carlton's dingy offices. Sunlight poured through glass walls. Plants dotted the open workspace. People smiled as they worked. The HR manager, Diane, greeted me warmly. "Rachel, we're so glad you reached out." She walked me through their operation, introducing me to the team. Everyone seemed genuinely happy to meet me. "How did you find me?" I finally asked. Diane smiled. One of your clients switched to us last month. They raved about your efficiency, said you were the only good thing about Carlton. We did some research after that. The tour ended in a bright conference room where the CEO himself waited. He shook my hand firmly. We need someone with your expertise. Name your terms. I didn't know what to say. This felt too good to be true. I need time to think, I said. I want to talk to my current employer first. The next day, I returned to Carlton with a strange mix of courage and dread. I knocked on Mr. Roberts' door, somehow steadier than before. Come in, he barked. I took a deep breath and sat down. I received a job offer from Lennox Systems. They're offering me double my current salary. His eyes narrowed, but I continued. I'd prefer to stay here, if possible. If Carlton could match even half of their offer, Mr. Roberts laughed. It was an ugly sound. You think you're worth that? Let me be clear. No one is fighting for you, Rachel. You're just replaceable labor. We can find someone to push papers around for half what we pay you. He leaned back, smirking. Take the offer or don't. It makes no difference to me. I felt something break inside me. Not my heart, my illusions. I'd given this company 5 years of innovation and dedication, and this was what it meant to them. In that moment, I knew, but I didn't quit right away. I should have. The next morning, I found a note on my desk. Performance improvement plan, effective immediately. Mr. Roberts had suddenly decided I needed closer supervision. He scheduled check-ins every 2 hours. He questioned every email I sent, every file I touched. He stood behind my chair watching me work, breathing down my neck. During the team meeting, he interrupted me repeatedly. Are we sure Rachel's process is the best approach? Seems inefficient to me. When I tried to explain, he cut me off. We need fresh ideas, not the same old routine. By Wednesday, my coworkers were giving me concerned looks. Teresa from accounting whispered as we got coffee, "What did you do to make Roberts so mad?" I asked for a raise, I said quietly. Her eyes widened. Oh, honey, nobody does that here. Thursday, he criticized my monthly report in front of everyone. Sloppy work, he announced, though it was identical to every report he'd praised before. Friday, he accidentally deleted one of my client files, then blamed me for not having a backup. It was the longest week of my life. Monday morning, Mr. Roberts called me into his office again. Your performance isn't improving, he said with fake concern. I'm thinking we need to extend your improvement plan another month. I knew what he was doing. He wanted me to quit so he wouldn't have to pay unemployment. He was building a case to fire me with cause. I sat there looking at his smug face, and something inside me just broke free. 5 years of being undervalued. 5 years of making him look good while he treated me like dirt. Without a word, I walked back to my desk. I opened Word and typed 2 sentences. I hereby resign from Carlton Industries, effective immediately. Thank you for the opportunity. I printed it, signed it, and walked straight back to his office. His eyebrows shot up when I handed him the letter. Effective immediately? That's unprofessional. You need to give 2 weeks' notice. I just shrugged. Like you said, I'm replaceable. His face turned purple with rage. I returned to my desk to gather my things. Mr. Roberts stormed after me. Where do you think you're going with that laptop? He demanded loudly, making sure everyone could hear. That's company property. The entire office went silent. I could feel all eyes on us. I turned to face him. This laptop? When I asked for one 3 years ago because the company desktop kept crashing, you said I was lazy and entitled. So I bought this myself. His mouth opened, then closed. I unplugged my printer. This too. And this headset. And this router that fixed the internet problems in this corner of the office. One by one, I disconnected my equipment. Thousands of dollars worth of technology that I'd purchased because the company was too cheap. Check your inventory records, I said calmly. None of this belongs to Carlton. The silence was deafening as I packed everything into boxes. No one moved to help me. No one dared. As I walked out, head high, carrying my first box, I heard whispers start behind me. 1 week later, I walked into Lennox Systems for my first official day. I'd spent the weekend battling waves of anxiety. What if I wasn't good enough? What if this was all a mistake? I stepped off the elevator on the 3rd floor and froze. A huge banner stretched across the entrance. Welcome, Rachel, our new process guru. The team stood waiting, applauding as I walked in. On a table sat a cake with Team Hero written in blue frosting. Diane hurried over. Too much? We're just so excited to have you. I couldn't speak. 5 years at Carlton, and the most recognition I'd gotten was a generic Christmas card signed by the office manager. We have your workstation all set up, Diane continued, leading me through the office. Top of the line everything. If you need anything else, just ask. My desk had a welcome basket, a brand new laptop, and a small plant with a card. Grow with us. For the first time in years I felt seen, actually seen. I had to blink back tears as my new team gathered around to introduce themselves. During my second week, I met with Ben, the CTO. I planned to explain my workflow system so they could implement it company-wide. I pulled up my flowchart and started explaining. So I basically combined these 3 software functions with a custom macro that... Wait. Ben held up his hand, staring at my screen. You built this yourself? I nodded. It's pretty simple, really. It just eliminates redundancies in... Rachel, he interrupted again. This isn't just smart, this is patentable. I laughed nervously. What? No, it's just a workflow. Ben shook his head, excitement growing in his eyes. It's an innovative process that solves a specific industry problem in a non-obvious way. That's literally the definition of a patentable business method. He pulled out his phone. I'm texting our IP lawyer right now. We need to protect this. My mind reeled. Patentable? My simple system that Carlton never even bothered to understand? But, I stammered. We'll help you file it under your name, Ben said. Lennox will license it from you. You'll get credit and royalties. I sat there, stunned. My little system was apparently worth protecting. I'm not a genius, I protested the next day when Ben brought in Sophia, the IP lawyer. It's just a workflow I came up with to save time. Sophia smiled patiently. Let me explain what makes something patentable. She laid out 4 criteria. The process had to be novel, new, non-obvious, not something anyone would think of, useful, and it had to produce tangible results. Your system checks all those boxes, she explained. You combined existing technologies in a way nobody else has, creating efficiencies the industry hasn't seen before. I still wasn't convinced. But what if someone else is already doing this? We've run a preliminary search, Ben said. Nothing like it exists in the patent database. Sophia pulled out some papers. If you're willing, we can start the application process today. Lennox will cover all the costs. I hesitated, then thought about Mr. Roberts dismissing my work for years. Calling me replaceable. Okay, I said finally, let's do it. I signed the papers, still not fully believing this was happening. My simple solution, created out of necessity, might become an actual patent with my name on it. Meanwhile, at Carlton Industries, chaos reigned. 3 weeks after I left, clients were calling daily to complain about delayed orders. The 3-day processing time I'd reduced to 8 hours was now stretching to 5 days. Teresa, my former coworker, texted me updates. They hired 2 people to replace you. Neither one understands your system. Roberts keeps telling everyone you didn't document anything properly. Is that true? I laughed at that one. I'd left detailed instructions, 3 separate manuals in fact, but they were probably still sitting in the folder Roberts had never bothered to open. Another text. CEO came down today. Furious about the backlog, Roberts blamed the new hires for being slow learners. I felt a twinge of sympathy for whoever had replaced me. It wasn't their fault. They didn't have 5 years to develop and refine the process like I had. More texts poured in. Lost the Hendricks account today. Johnson threatening to leave too. Everyone's working overtime. I didn't reply to any of them. That wasn't my world anymore. My phone rang with an unknown number while I was having lunch with my new team. Rachel speaking, I answered. Rachel? Hi. The fake cheerfulness in Mr. Roberts' voice made my skin crawl. How are you doing? Settling in well at the new place? I stepped away from the table. What do you want, Mr. Roberts? He cleared his throat. Well, we're having some transition challenges with your replacement. Nothing major. Just wondering if you might be able to come in for an afternoon and walk her through some of your processes? The audacity was breathtaking. There's nothing to walk through, I replied coldly. I left detailed documentation. Yes. Well, sometimes it helps to have the personal touch, you know? We'd compensate you for your time, of course. Actually, I said, there is a way I can help. Lennox Systems is preparing to license my workflow process. I can have our legal team send over an agreement. Silence on the other end. Ben, license? What are you talking about? My process is being patented, I said, but don't worry, it's available for licensing. The next day, Sophia helped me draft a licensing proposal for Carlton Industries. The annual fee, $250,000. Is this normal? I asked, staring at the number. For proprietary business method patents, absolutely, she assured me, especially considering the efficiency gains it provides. We sent the offer over. 2 hours later, my phone exploded with calls from Mr. Roberts. I let them go to voicemail until finally picking up on the 5th try. $250,000? He shouted, skipping any greeting. Are you insane? That's more than 10 times the raise you asked for. I held the phone away from my ear. How special is your little trick anyway? We'll figure it out ourselves. I waited until he ran out of breath. That's your choice, of course. Good luck with that backlog. This is extortion, he spluttered. No, it's business, I replied calmly. You taught me that people are replaceable. Processes, it turns out, are not. I ended the call and blocked his number. My hands were shaking, but not from fear this time, from power. Life at Lennox was everything Carlton wasn't. My ideas were valued. My time was respected. When I suggested improvements, people actually listened. Within a month, I'd implemented my system across their entire operation. Processing times dropped dramatically. Client satisfaction scores rose. The CEO personally thanked me in an all-hands meeting. For the first time in years, I slept through the night. The constant knot in my stomach disappeared. I started taking lunch breaks without guilt. I even joined a yoga class on Thursdays. Best of all, I began mentoring 2 younger team members. Sharing knowledge felt good, especially in an environment where it was appreciated. How did you come up with this? Zoe, one of my mentees, asked one day. I thought about it. Necessity, I guess, and stubbornness. I knew there had to be a better way, so I kept experimenting until I found it. Well, it's brilliant, she said, and so are you. I smiled, still getting used to compliments. At Carlton, I'd been invisible. Here, I was valued. The difference wasn't just in my paycheck. It was in how I felt about myself. I was thriving, and it showed. Teresa kept texting me updates from Carlton. I'd asked her to stop, but part of me couldn't help being curious. We lost the Peterson account today. That's 4 major clients this month. Roberts got chewed out by the CEO again. The backlog is now at 8 days. 3 more people quit this week. Everyone's working mandatory overtime. A small, petty part of me enjoyed hearing about Carlton's struggles. Was that wrong? After years of being undervalued, wasn't I entitled to a little satisfaction? Then came the text that changed everything. They're talking about possible layoffs. People are scared, Rachel. That hit me differently. The regular employees at Carlton weren't to blame. They were just trying to survive under terrible leadership, just like I had been. I felt a stab of guilt. Was I punishing the wrong people by withholding my system? Then I remembered Mr. Roberts' smirk when he called me replaceable. The glob of spit near my shoe. The week of torment before I quit. Some lessons needed to be learned the hard way. Carlton tried a different approach. The CFO emailed me directly. Dear Ms. Williams, we'd like to discuss terms for licensing your workflow system. While $250,000 exceeds our budget, we're prepared to offer $75,000 annually, which represents a significant investment for our company. I forwarded it to Sophia, who laughed. They're desperate. Hold fang. That afternoon, Mr. Roberts somehow got past my block and called from a different number. Rachel, be reasonable, he said, his voice stripped of its usual arrogance. We can't afford $250,000. The company is struggling. That sounds like a management problem, I replied. Just tell me what you want, he pressed. A public apology? Your old job back with a raise? Name it. I thought about what I really wanted. Not revenge, just recognition of my worth. The patent wasn't created for Carlton, I said finally. It was made for companies that believe in their employees. What does that even mean? He demanded. It means no, I said and hung up. For the first time, I truly felt free of Carlton Industries. A week later, Diane knocked on my office door. There's someone here to see you, a Mark Johnson? Mark had been one of my quieter colleagues at Carlton. We'd barely spoken beyond good morning and have a nice weekend. I found him waiting nervously in the lobby. Rachel, thanks for seeing me. He looked different, less hunched, more confident. What brings you here, Mark? I quit Carlton last week, he said, smiling. I start at TechFlow on Monday. That's great, I said, genuinely happy for him. I wanted to thank you, he continued. Seeing you walk out that day, head high, no apologies, it gave me courage. I'd been miserable for years but too scared to leave. I was stunned. I had no idea. None of us did, he said. We all just suffered silently, but you showed us we had options. 5 people have left since you did. That place was poison. His words hit me hard. I hadn't just changed my own life by leaving. I'd inadvertently shown others they could escape too. I'm really proud of you, Mark, I said, meaning it. Industry news traveled fast. A LinkedIn post about my patent application went semi-viral in our professional circle. Someone shared it with the comment, Carlton Industries lost their secret weapon over a $25K raise. Now they're hemorrhaging clients. Lesson: pay your talent what they're worth. The post racked up thousands of views. People I'd never met started connecting with me. I received messages from professionals across the country sharing similar experiences. Lennox's CEO was thrilled with the attention. This is great PR for us, the company that values innovation. Meanwhile, Carlton's review sites filled with negative comments about delays and poor service. Their stock price dipped. The industry was watching a slow-motion car crash. Teresa reported that Mr. Roberts had a complete meltdown in the office. He threw a stapler at the wall when someone mentioned your name, then he banned anyone from talking about you. It was surreal. 6 months ago, I'd been a nobody. Now my name was being whispered in executive suites across the industry. All because I finally stood up for myself. My phone rang during a strategy meeting. Unknown number, again. I was about to decline when Ben whispered, could be about the patent, so I stepped out to answer. Miss Williams? This is Alan Prescott, CEO of Carlton Industries. My heart jumped. I'd never spoken directly to Carlton's CEO in 5 years there. Mr. Prescott, I said carefully. What can I do for you? I'll be direct, he said. We're interested in your licensing terms. They're unchanged, $250,000 per year. He cleared his throat. Look, I've reviewed the situation. What happened with Roberts was unfortunate. I apologize for how you were treated. An apology from the CEO? Too little, too late. I appreciate that, but my terms are now $1 million per year. What? He spluttered. That's outrageous. We can't possibly. Goodbye, Mr. Prescott. Wait, he said quickly. We can't do $1 million, but would $350,000 work? We're struggling here, Rachel. I almost wavered. Then I remembered 5 years without recognition. My terms are firm. Good luck with your backlog. I hung up, feeling strangely calm. 6 months after leaving Carlton, I was invited to speak at the annual Industry Tech Conference. My topic: When Loyalty Becomes Exploitation, Recognizing Your Professional Worth. Standing on that stage, looking out at hundreds of faces, I felt none of my usual anxiety. I spoke from the heart about recognizing value, your own and others, and how companies that fail to do so ultimately fail themselves. Loyalty should be a two-way street, I concluded. When it's not, it's just servitude in disguise. The applause was thunderous. People lined up afterward to speak with me. Among them was a representative from Women in Tech Leadership, inviting me to join their mentorship program. Your story resonates with so many, she said, especially women who've been undervalued and overlooked. As I signed copies of my presentation, I caught a glimpse of someone familiar in the back of the room, Mr. Roberts. He turned and hurried away before our eyes could meet. Later, I heard he'd been sent to represent Carlton and report back on what I said. That night, I slept better than I had in years. Back at Lennox, success kept building. Our client base had grown 40% in half a year. My patented system was getting attention from industries beyond our own. One morning, the CEO called me into her office. Ben was there too, grinning. Rachel, we have a proposition, she began. Instead of Lennox just licensing your patent, we want to form a partnership, a new division with you at the helm, scaling your system across multiple industries. Ben slid a folder toward me. Your name would be on everything, equal profit sharing, full creative control. I opened the folder. The numbers made me dizzy. This is a lot, I said slowly. It's what you're worth, the CEO replied. Plus, we're not just buying your system, we're investing in your vision. In that moment, I thought about the Rachel from 6 months ago. The one who was afraid to ask for a $25,000 raise. The one who thought she should be grateful just to have a job. That Rachel was gone. In her place stood someone who knew her value. I signed the papers, hand steady and sure. The industry changes were swift and decisive. Carlton's stock fell to a 5-year low. An internal restructuring was announced. Teresa's final text to me read, "Roberts got demoted today. They brought in someone from outside to take over the department. 3-person team hired to replace what you did alone." I felt no joy at his downfall, just a sense of natural consequences unfolding. He'd sown disrespect and reaped its harvest. Word circulated that Carlton was under investigation for toxic workplace practices. Multiple former employees had filed complaints, creating a pattern that couldn't be ignored. Meanwhile, Lennox thrived. Our partnership launched with glowing coverage in tech publications. My process, once dismissed as a little trick, was now hailed as revolutionary. Former colleagues reached out, congratulating me, some asking for job recommendations. I helped where I could, remembering Mark's words about showing others they had options. The industry was watching, learning. Companies started examining their own retention practices, wondering if they too were overlooking their secret weapons. One lesson was clear: no one is truly replaceable when they're bringing unique value. 1 year after my dramatic exit from Carlton, I sat in a sleek studio for a tech magazine interview. Lights glared, cameras pointed at my face, but I felt completely at ease. "So what started all this?" the interviewer asked. "Was there a moment when you knew you had to make a change?" I smiled, thinking back to that fateful day in Mr. Roberts' office, the trembling hands, the glob of spit, the walk of shame. I asked for a $25,000 raise after 5 years of saving the company millions. I said simply. I got spat at instead. Now I license that same process for $1 million per year. The interviewer's eyes widened. That's quite a turnaround. The funny thing is, I continued, it was never about the money. It was about respect, about recognition for the value I brought. And what would you tell others in similar situations? I looked directly into the camera, thinking of all the people still sitting at their desks, afraid to ask for what they're worth. Know your value, I said firmly, and never let anyone convince you it's less than it is. As the cameras stopped rolling, I gathered my things. Outside, the sun shone brightly. I had a partnership meeting that afternoon, then dinner with Jamie to celebrate our latest success. Life was good, on my terms at last.